Hello, Truth Seekers. This is your Conspiracy Laws host, JB. Welcome to episode 3. Today we're going to blow the lid off the NRA spending money to make us believe that people are coming for our guns. So, before I get into what they're up to, their devious means, I first want to get into a little of the NRA's history. For those of you who don't know, NRA stands for the National Rifle Association, and they were founded in 1871, nearly 150 years ago, to train people in shooting better. Funny story, actually. I guess according to research, in the Civil War, only 1 out of every 1,000 shots actually hit someone. So kind of tells you they need a little better training. So yeah, that's a noble cause. If people are going to have a gun, they should probably know how to shoot it. That'd be great if the NRA just stuck with that, but they didn't. By 1934, they started teaching people about gun-related legislation, and they were actually in support of gun control. That was their roots. But things took a sour twist in 1975, and they started to lobby against gun control and any firearm legislation under the guise of protecting the Second Amendment, which, by the way, doesn't give you carte blanche to use a gun, any sort of gun, to do anything with, no matter what person you are. You should read the Second Amendment. It's nowhere near what we've made it out to be these days. And if the Founding Fathers saw what guns we had today, they'd probably change the amendment a little bit. Anyway, since 1975, once they decided to start getting into the government and firearm legislation, they've just gotten more and more devious as time's gone on. These days, they're they are the most powerful lobbyists in the world. They control our government. Yeah. How else would we have these shootings every day, mass shootings, and nothing done about it? It's gotten ridiculous. To give you an example of how much money they're pumping into our government, in just 2016, they raised $366 million, and then they spent $412 million on political activities. So they aren't training people anymore. They're just there to control our government. That's their sole reason for existing. They've gotten so far off the rails. And self-respecting gun owners are ripping up their NRA cards. No real responsible gun owner is a member of the NRA anymore. It's ridiculous. So basically, all they do these days is make sure that guns are readily available to anyone who wants them. And another way that they've gotten devious these days is they show up wherever there's a shooting to rally their NRA members to ward off any sort of gun control legislation that may come in the wake of a mass shooting. They were there after Columbine. They were there after Parkland. They were there after Sandy Hook. They're despicable. I liken it to people like talking crap about a political figure after they die. Like, sure, you may disagree with someone, but they're dead, and there's a time and place to talk crap about someone, and it's not at their funeral. You can talk about it in a few months down the road. You can talk about it beforehand. But if it only comes up when someone dies, like that shows a incredible lack of compassion for anyone. And I guess that's the name of the game these days is just keeping the compassion's just so lacking. It's disappointing, but that's not what this is about. we're talking about what the NRA is doing. So a well-known fact that you can find these statistics anywhere. Just pop open Google, and I don't even want to get into Google. There's a lot of things going wrong with Google, but it's what people use, so that's why I say it. But you can find all the research that shows that gun sales spike after a shooting. And the NRA is behind this. The NRA gets a lot of their money from gun manufacturers. And then to show their appreciation, they help boost sales for these gun manufacturers. Basically, it's the lobbying wing for all the gun manufacturers. It's a monopoly. That it's yeah. There's a gun trust going on, and who's going to stop it? The government's not. It's like how the government doesn't stop the monopoly over politics. It's the Republicans and Democrats, and why would they ever want to stop it? Same with the gun trust. They're getting tons of money from the NRA, so why would they want to stop this? So first of all, you may think that the NRA would want to get rid of anti-gun news stories after a shooting, but really they're the ones behind it. They make sure it's all over the news. They make sure that the gunman's name's out there. They make sure the media covers it over and over and over again until they get to the point where they're covering the media's coverage. The media covers its own coverage of a shooting, and it's just ad nauseum. They also make sure that there's plenty of coverage of people calling for gun legislation, because let's say you like your guns, you like shooting, hunting, which the vast majority of guns out there are owned by hunters, but when they hear that, oh no, my gun might be taken away, everyone runs to the gun stores, and buys it out. They buy all the guns they can get, and they put them into storage. They hide them because they don't want the government taking their guns away. And when there's a shooting, there's that fear that's orchestrated by the NRA. No one's coming to take any guns. The NRA owns the government. Like the government's not going to do anything to displease them. If you're a politician, you're worried about winning that next election, and the NRA can give you the money to win that next election. So why would you want to piss off the NRA? You don't. The NRA wants people to be afraid, even if it's not being afraid that people are coming to take your guns. It's just being afraid of your neighbor, being afraid of brown people. They're always a boogeyman. The NRA definitely deals in racism. They'll deal in anything. And they're duping you. You're being duped. I'm not going to go so far as to say that the NRA is funding shootings. I wouldn't put it past them, but there's just, if that lid were to be blown off, there's just too much downside. I feel like even the politicians who are in their pocket would not be able to support that. But I'm going to point out this. Anytime you're inspired to spend money in protest of something, you're likely being duped. If you see a news story and you're afraid that they're going to come to take your guns, and so you feel very strongly to go buy some guns, you're being duped, and that's the NRA doing it. There's so many organizations who have taken advantage of this. Most people have become lazy. If they see an A-B connection, then they don't consider that there's a possible C or some other way between the A and B. They think it's a direct connection, and they don't do the research. It's hard for us to believe that we're being duped, that people are so wily and clever out there that they're taking advantage of us. You see it with all sorts of stuff on Facebook and social media. You're not getting the whole story. It's meant to cause a knee jerk, and the more emotionally, uh, for lack of a better word, triggered you are, the less research you're gonna do. But there's almost always more to the story, and we rarely get that extra info to the story. That's why I'm here. As a member of the media, I have access to stuff that other people don't have, and I'm bringing it to you. I just want the truth out there. I value the truth so much. Um, if you have any questions or ideas, please comment below. Please support the truth by subscribing to the Conspiracy Laws channel and sharing the truth with your friends. We'll be back on Monday with an episode about how 1 out of 5 Americans are government actors. Yeah, it blew me away too when I found out. It's scary. In the meantime, think about what we've talked about today. We awake the world tomorrow.